Hi, let me give you a quick tip on how to get creative when doing self-storage expansions. My name's Mark Helm, and I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Quick Start Academy, which houses the on-demand self-storage boot camp. That's the premier training I offer that will help you go from wherever you are now all the way to putting your first or your next self-storage facility into service. I help the small investor who wants to get in the self-storage business or grow their self-storage business. But if you've been at my boot camps, we've talked about this idea, but let me share with you a creative idea on how to do a self-storage expansion. As I discussed last week, I love doing expansions. We've made a lot of money doing self-storage expansions. That's where you buy an existing facility and add more self-storage to that facility. But sometimes, especially today, with the higher interest rates and higher construction costs, when you run the preliminary analysis, the deal doesn't look good, even with the expansion, or it's profitable, but there's not a lot of fudge space in there, and if anything surprising happens, which always does, then a marginal project will become a negative project. It can go south real quick in construction sometimes. So here's an idea on what to do. And what I'm going to share is, instead of doing a single story, if you're doing climate control space, consider doing a two-story. Now, where this works is, if in your expansion you were planning on putting all or a lot of climate control space into service, which is often the case because we'll buy older mom and pop facilities, which in most cases are just non-climate control, or many cases that's the case, and then we're adding climate control. You may consider doing a two-story, and it works in a couple of situations. One, you were going to add climate control space anyway, and two, there'll be enough demand for the space that you're bringing onto the market. Let me give you a case study to illustrate. We were considering buying a facility in the Florida market, existing 100% climate controlled space of 30,875 square feet. And it had about half an acre behind it where you could do an expansion. We ran the numbers, or I ran the numbers, and by doing the expansion on that half acre, it was positive, but it wasn't a great return. And I was hesitant to pull the trigger on it. And as I thought about it, I thought, well, why not maybe a two-story? This is the first time I did this. And so I ran the numbers with the two-story, and I called the storage fabricator, and yes, by doing a two-story, it would add about back then at that point, it would add about $10 a square foot more to the overall, every square foot of the expansion. But as I ran the numbers, and given it was climate control, which generates more money, more income, once I ran the numbers at a two-story level, the deal penciled out great on paper. So I called my engineer, asked the engineer, look, do you see any issues in doing a two-story on this location? They got back with me and said no. And we put the property under contract and then went through the due diligence process. And lo and behold, we ended up buying that project, building that two-story. The project worked. Ultimately, we sold that to a REIT. So that was a case, and I've seen it over and over again, where you put a two-story instead of a one-story for all or part of the expansion, and a deal that doesn't work or a deal that's marginal all of a sudden will work. Always get a feasibility report to validate that there's enough demand for however much square footage you're bringing on the market, whether it's one-story or two-story. Today, same thing going on. This will be my first three-story fabricated addition. That's what we had to do today to make the numbers work, and we validated the demand through the feasibility report. Hope that helps. We are only limited by our thinking. My name is Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer, which is the financial analysis tool we use to run those analysis to see how the numbers will work. You can find out more about it at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com, storageworldanalyzer.com. Thank you, and I look forward to being with you next week.